Can you answer 100 real English questions without translating? Welcome to English ListenBerry. Let's begin with a real test. No long introduction, no time to prepare. Just listen to the question and answer in English. Your challenge is simple. Begin your answer before the countdown reaches 1. You do not need to finish in 3 seconds. You only need to begin. If you want more time, pause the lesson and finish your thought before you listen to the example. Question 1. What is one thing you want to accomplish today? Start your answer now. 3, 2, 1. You might say, today, I want to finish an important task before the afternoon. Question 2. What usually puts you in a good mood? Answer before you search for the perfect words. 3, 2, 1. You could say, good music usually puts me in a better mood, especially when I listen to it in the morning. Question 3. If you could change one small part of your daily routine, what would you change? Begin now. 3, 2, 1. A natural answer might be, I would stop checking my phone as soon as I wake up because it makes my mornings feel rushed. How did that feel? Perhaps you knew what you wanted to say, but the English did not arrive quickly enough. Perhaps your mind became busy translating, correcting, and judging every word. That delay is exactly what we are going to train today. In this lesson, you will answer 100 real English questions. The questions will begin with familiar topics, but they will gradually become more personal, unexpected, and challenging. You will talk about your life, your choices, your memories, your work, your relationships, and your opinions. Your goal is not to give 100 perfect answers. Your goal is to begin 100 times. Every time you begin an answer directly in English, you strengthen the connection between your thoughts and your voice. Every time you continue despite a mistake, you teach your brain that communication matters more than perfection. For many of the questions, we will use a simple response pattern. Answer, reason, example. First, give a direct answer, then explain why. Finally, add an example, a detail, or a short experience. For example, if I ask, do you prefer working alone or with other people? You could answer, I usually prefer working alone because I can focus more deeply. For example, when I need to write or solve a difficult problem, I make faster progress in a quiet room. That is a complete response. It is clear, natural, and easy to build. You do not need complicated vocabulary. You need a simple structure that keeps your ideas moving. One more rule, do not copy every model answer word for word. Listen to it, learn from it, and then make your answer personal. Your real goal is to express your own thoughts.
You have already answered 3 questions. Let's continue. Round 1. Quick everyday reflexes. For the next 7 questions, answer with one clear sentence. Keep it simple. The faster you begin, the better. Question 4. What is the first thing you usually do after waking up? 3, 2, 1. The first thing I usually do is drink a glass of water and open the curtains. Your answer can be completely different. The important thing is that it begins clearly. Question 5. What kind of weather gives you the most energy? 3, 2, 1. Cool. Sunny weather gives me the most energy because I feel comfortable and ready to go outside. Question 6. What do you normally eat when you need a quick meal? 3, 2, 1. When I need a quick meal, I normally make eggs, toast, or a simple bowl of noodles. Question 7. Where do you go when you need a little peace and quiet? 3, 2, 1. I usually go to my room, put my phone away, and sit quietly for a few minutes. Question 8. What is one app you use almost every day? 3, 2, 1. I use a messaging app every day because it helps me stay connected with my family and friends. Question 9. What is something you are looking forward to this week? 3, 2, 1. I am looking forward to having some free time this weekend and doing something relaxing. Question 10. What is one useful thing you learned recently? 3, 2, 1. Recently, I learned a better way to organize my tasks so I do not feel overwhelmed. You have completed 10 questions. Before we move on, let's turn your first 10 answers into faster speaking reflexes. Listen to each sentence, then say it again using your own information. Today, I want to finish one important task. Now replace finish with another action. Good music usually puts me in a better mood. Replace good music with something that changes your mood. I would change the way I start my morning. Name one part of your own routine. The first thing I do is drink a glass of water. Tell me what you actually do. Cool. Sunny weather gives me more energy. Choose the weather that affects you positively. When I need a quick meal, I make something simple. Name the meal. I go somewhere quiet when I need to think. Name your place. I use this app because it keeps me connected. Say the app and the reason. I am looking forward to having some free time. Replace free time with a real plan. Recently, I learned a better way to organize my day. Name one useful lesson. These are not sentences to memorize forever. They are frames. A frame gives you a place to begin, while your own details make the answer real. Notice what we are training. You hear a question, choose one idea, and speak. You are not trying to create the most impressive answer. You are creating movement. Now let's make your answers stronger. Round 2. Give an answer and a reason. For the next 10 questions, do not stop after your first sentence. Add one reason using because, since, or the reason is that. Question 11. Do you prefer starting your day early or staying up late? Choose one, then explain why. Begin now. 3, 2, 1. I prefer starting my day early because my mind feels clearer in the morning. I can focus on important work before messages and distractions begin. Now make it yours. Which part of the day gives you your best energy? Question 12. Would you rather plan everything in advance or decide as you go? Answer directly, then give your reason. 3, 2, 1. I like to plan the important parts in advance, but I leave some room for change. A basic plan keeps me calm, while a little flexibility makes the experience more enjoyable. Question 13. Do you learn better by reading, listening, or doing something yourself? Do not list all three. Choose the method that helps you most. 3, 2, 1. I learn best by doing something myself because action shows me what I truly understand. I may forget an explanation, but I usually remember a lesson I learned through experience. Question 14. Would you rather spend your free time at home or go somewhere new? Begin with your choice. 3, 2, 1. Most of the time, I would rather go somewhere new because a change of environment refreshes my mind. Even a short visit to a new cafe or neighborhood can make the day feel more interesting. Question 15. Do you prefer having a few close friends or a large social circle? Give your answer and one honest reason. 3, 2, 1. I prefer having a few close friends because deeper relationships matter more to me than knowing many people. I like conversations where both people can be open and trust each other. Question 16. Is it better to save money for the future or spend some of it on experiences now? There is no perfect answer. Choose the balance that feels right to you. 3, 2, 1. I think it is important to do both. Saving money creates security, but meaningful experiences also make life richer. I try to save consistently while keeping a reasonable amount for travel, learning, or time with people I care about. Question 17. Would you rather work in complete silence or with some background sound? Answer now. 3, 2, 1. I prefer working with soft background sound because complete silence can feel distracting to me. Quiet music helps me settle into a rhythm without demanding too much attention. Question 18. Do you enjoy learning difficult things, or do you become frustrated quickly? Be honest and explain your reaction. 3, 2, 1. I enjoy learning difficult things when I can see small signs of progress. I do become frustrated sometimes, but a clear goal usually helps me stay patient and continue. Question 19. Would you rather receive honest criticism or comfortable encouragement? Choose one, but you may add a condition. 3, 2, 1. I would rather receive honest criticism as long as it is specific and respectful. Encouragement feels good, but useful feedback shows me what I can actually improve. Question 20. Is it more important to be talented or consistent? Give your answer and your reason. 3, 2, 1. I believe consistency is more important because talent has little value without regular effort. A person who improves a little every day can eventually outperform someone who depends only on natural ability. 20 questions complete. Now practice the structure that carried you through this round. Begin with a clear preference. I prefer starting early. Then attach the reason. I prefer starting early because my mind feels clearer. Add a useful contrast. I prefer starting early because my mind feels clearer, but I do not always enjoy waking up. Try another pattern. I would rather plan the important parts in advance since that helps me feel prepared. Now soften the answer. I usually prefer to plan, although I still want some flexibility. Use the pattern with learning. I learn best by doing because experience makes the lesson easier to remember. Use it with relationships. I prefer a few close friends because I value deeper conversations. Use it with money. I try to save consistently while still spending some money on meaningful experiences. Use it with feedback. I value honest criticism as long as it is specific and respectful. Use it with progress. Consistency matters more to me because small actions become powerful over time. Say one of those ideas again, but change the subject. You can begin with, I prefer, I would rather, I usually, I try to, or I value. Once the first phrase arrives, the rest of the answer becomes easier to build. Your answers are already becoming longer, but longer does not have to mean slower. The key is to know where you are going. Answer first. Give the reason second. In the next round, you will handle situations from real life. You will not simply describe what you like. You will decide what to say when another person needs an answer. Round 3. Real-life situations. For each situation, begin with a useful response. Then add one detail that moves the conversation forward. Question 21. A friend invites you to dinner tonight, but you already have plans. How would you respond politely? Start with the message, not the explanation. 3, 2, 1. Thanks so much for inviting me. I already have plans tonight, but I would love to meet another day. Are you free sometime this weekend? That answer is polite because it shows appreciation, gives a brief reason, and offers another possibility. Question 22. You are in a restaurant, and your order is incorrect. What would you say to the server? Speak calmly and clearly. 3, 2, 1. Excuse me, I think there may have been a small mix-up. I ordered the grilled chicken, but this looks like the pasta. Could you please check the order for me? Notice that you do not need to sound angry to solve the problem. Question 23. You did not understand the last thing someone said. How would you ask them to repeat it naturally? Answer now. 3, 2, 1. Sorry, I did not catch the last part. Could you say that again a little more slowly? You could also say, I understood the main idea, but could you repeat what you said about the deadline? Question 24. A coworker asks whether you can finish an extra task today, but your schedule is already full. What would you say? Be helpful without promising something impossible. 3, 2, 1. I can help, but I may not be able to finish it today because I am working on 2 urgent tasks. If tomorrow morning works, I can make it my first priority. Question 25. You are 5 minutes late for an appointment. How would you apologize without giving a long excuse? Begin now. 3, 2, 1. I am sorry for arriving late, and I appreciate your patience. Traffic took longer than I expected, but I should have allowed more time. That answer accepts responsibility instead of hiding behind the reason. Question 26. Someone gives you a compliment about your English. How would you respond? Do not reject the compliment. Accept it naturally. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I have been practicing consistently, so it is encouraging to know that the improvement is noticeable. Question 27. You are talking to someone new, and the conversation becomes quiet. What question could you ask to keep it going? Create a question that is open and easy to answer. 3, 2, 1. What have you been enjoying lately outside of work? Another natural option is there anything you are looking forward to this month? Good conversation does not require a brilliant topic. It requires genuine interest. Question 28. A friend asks for your opinion about a decision, but you think they may not like your answer. What would you say first? Show care before giving your opinion. 3, 2, 1. I will be honest because I care about you, but this is only my perspective. I think it may help to slow down and look at the risks before you make a final decision. Question 29. You need to end a phone call because you have another commitment. How would you do it politely? Answer now. 3, 2, 1. I have really enjoyed talking with you, but I need to get ready for another appointment. Can we continue this conversation later? Question 30. You are introduced to a group of people at a professional event. How would you introduce yourself in 2 sentences? Say who you are and give people an easy way to continue the conversation. 3, 2, 1. Hi, I am Alex. I work in digital marketing, and I am especially interested in how small brands build loyal communities online. Now, replace the name, field, and interest with your own information. You have reached question 30. Let's collect the most useful response patterns from this round. Repeat them as complete thoughts. Thanks for inviting me, but I already have plans. I would love to meet another day. Excuse me, I think there may have been a mix-up. Could you please check that for me? Sorry, I did not catch the last part. Could you say that again a little more slowly? I can help, but I may need more time. If tomorrow works, I can make it my first priority. I am sorry for arriving late. I appreciate your patience. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It is encouraging to know that my improvement is noticeable. What have you been enjoying lately? Is there anything you are looking forward to? I will be honest because I care about you. This is only my perspective. I need to get ready for another appointment. Can we continue this conversation later? These phrases solve common communication problems. They help you decline, clarify, apologize, accept a compliment, continue a conversation, and protect your time. Choose 3 that you need in real life. Say them again with a natural voice, as if another person were standing in front of you. At this point, you are doing more than answering grammar exercises. You are responding to people. That difference matters. Real fluency is not the ability to explain a rule. It is the ability to make something happen with language. Now we will move from the present into the past. Round 4. Tell a short story. For the next 10 questions, give an answer, add 1 or 2 important details, and finish with what happened or what you learned. Do not tell your entire life story. Choose one clear moment. Question 31. What is a small success you felt proud of recently? Take a moment. Choose one event and begin. 3, 2, 1. Recently, I finished a task that I had been avoiding for several weeks. Once I started, it was less difficult than I had imagined. I felt proud because I stopped waiting for motivation and simply took the first step. Question 32. Tell me about a time when your day did not go as planned. What changed, and how did you respond? 3, 2, 1. A few weeks ago, an appointment was canceled after I had already traveled across town. At first, I felt annoyed, but I found a quiet cafe and used the time to finish some work. The day was not what I expected, but it was not wasted. Question 33. What is one trip or journey you still remember clearly? Choose one image, moment, or feeling. 3, 2, 1. I still remember a trip I took to a small coastal town. I woke up early and walked along the beach before anyone else arrived. The air was cool, the streets were quiet, and for a few minutes, everything felt completely peaceful. Question 34. Describe a time when someone helped you unexpectedly. Who helped you, and why did it matter? 3, 2, 1. Once, I was struggling to understand a new task at work, and a colleague noticed that I was stuck. She sat with me for 20 minutes and explained the process without making me feel embarrassed. Her kindness mattered because I had been afraid to ask for help. Question 35. Tell me about a mistake that taught you something useful. Do not defend the mistake. Focus on the lesson. 3, 2, 1. I once agreed to complete too many things at the same time because I did not want to disappoint anyone. I ended up feeling stressed and doing none of the tasks as well as I wanted. That experience taught me to be more realistic before I make a commitment. Question 36. What is a childhood memory that still makes you smile? Bring the memory to life with one specific detail. 3, 2, 1. One memory that still makes me smile is riding my bicycle with my friends after school. We had no real destination. We simply explored the neighborhood until the streetlights came on, and the whole afternoon felt like an adventure. Question 37. Describe a moment when you had to be brave. What were you afraid of, and what did you do anyway? 3, 2, 1. I had to be brave when I gave a presentation to a large group for the first time. My hands were shaking, and I was worried that I would forget everything. I focused on the first sentence, continued one idea at a time, and discovered that I was more capable than I had expected. Question 38. Tell me about a conversation that changed the way you thought. What idea stayed with you? 3, 2, 1. I once spoke with someone who told me that being busy is not the same as making progress. That idea stayed with me because I realized I was filling my days with small tasks while avoiding the work that truly mattered. Question 39. What is something difficult that became easier with practice? Explain the change. 3, 2, 1. Speaking English used to feel exhausting because I tried to translate and correct every sentence. With regular practice, I became more comfortable using simple words and continuing after mistakes. The biggest change was not my vocabulary, it was my willingness to speak. Question 40. Tell me about a time when you changed your mind. What did you believe before, and what changed your opinion? 3, 2, 1. I used to believe that asking for help showed weakness. Later, I worked with people who asked thoughtful questions and learned much faster because of it. I changed my mind when I realized that good questions are often a sign of responsibility, not weakness. 40 questions complete. Before we leave the past, practice 5 story paths. First path: situation, action, result. I had been avoiding a difficult task. I finally started with one small step, and I finished sooner than I expected. Second path: expectation, change, response. I expected the day to go smoothly, but my appointment was canceled. I changed my plan and used the time well. Third path: fear, action, discovery. I was afraid that I would forget what to say. I focused on the first sentence and discovered that I could continue. Fourth path: mistake, reflection, lesson. I accepted too many responsibilities. The quality of my work suffered, so I learned to make more realistic commitments. Fifth path: old belief, new experience, changed mind. I used to believe that asking for help showed weakness. Then I saw how quickly thoughtful people learned by asking good questions. Now, create one tiny story of your own. Begin with one of these sentence starters. I still remember the time when, at first, I thought, the situation changed when. What surprised me most was, that experience taught me, you do not need every detail. A good short story gives the listener enough information to follow the change. Something was true at the beginning. Something happened. Then the situation, the person, or the understanding became different. You have just practiced a powerful speaking skill, selecting details. When people freeze, they often believe they need to remember everything. You do not. Choose one moment, one detail, and one result. That is enough to tell a clear story. Now the questions will require practical thinking. Round 5. Work, study, and problem solving. In this round, organize your answer before you decorate it. State the problem, explain your approach, and describe the result you want. Question 41. When you have several urgent tasks, how do you decide what to do first? Give a practical answer. 3, 2, 1. I first identify which task has the closest deadline and the greatest impact. Then I check whether anyone else is waiting for my work before they can continue. That helps me choose the real priority instead of reacting to whichever message arrived most recently. Question 42. What do you do when you cannot focus? Describe a method you actually use or would like to try. 3, 2, 1. When I cannot focus, I reduce the number of decisions around me. I put my phone out of reach, close unnecessary tabs, and choose one small task for the next 25 minutes. Starting with a short period feels easier than demanding perfect concentration for the entire day. Question 43. How would you explain a complicated idea to someone who is new to the topic? Answer with a process. 3, 2, 1. I would begin with the purpose of the idea and connect it to something the person already understands. Then I would explain one step at a time, use a simple example, and ask them to describe the idea in their own words. That final step would show me what I need to clarify. Question 44. Imagine that a team project is falling behind schedule. What would you do first? Do not solve everything at once. Choose the first useful action. 3, 2, 1. First, I would identify the specific reason for the delay instead of blaming the team. We might have unclear responsibilities, unrealistic deadlines, or missing information. Once the real obstacle is clear, we can adjust the plan and assign the next steps. Question 45. How do you respond when you receive feedback you disagree with? Show that you can listen without immediately surrendering your opinion. 3, 2, 1. I try to understand the feedback before I defend my work. I ask for a specific example and consider whether the other person has noticed something I missed. If I still disagree, I explain my reasoning calmly and focus on the shared goal rather than turning the discussion into a personal argument. Question 46. What makes a meeting useful instead of a waste of time? Give 2 or 3 clear conditions. 3, 2, 1. A useful meeting has a clear purpose, the right people, and a decision that needs to be made. Everyone should know why they are there, and the meeting should end with specific responsibilities. If no discussion or decision is required, a short written update may be better. Question 47. What would you do if you realized you could not meet an important deadline? Respond as a responsible professional. 3, 2, 1. I would communicate the problem as early as possible instead of waiting until the deadline passed. I would explain what caused the delay, show what had already been completed, and propose a realistic new timeline. I would also ask whether the most important part could be delivered first. Question 48. How do you prepare for a difficult conversation? Explain what you would think about before the conversation begins. 3, 2, 1. I prepare by deciding what outcome I need and what I am willing to compromise on. I also try to imagine how the situation looks from the other person's perspective. That helps me choose calm language, ask better questions, and avoid saying something emotional that distracts from the real issue. Question 49. What is one skill people will need more of in the future? Give your answer, reason, and an example. 3, 2, 1. I think people will need stronger critical thinking skills because information is becoming easier to produce but harder to evaluate. For example, when several sources make conflicting claims, we need to compare evidence, notice emotional manipulation, and resist accepting the first answer that sounds confident. Question 50. If you could improve one part of the way you work or study, what would it be? Make the answer personal and specific. 3, 2, 1. I would improve the way I protect time for deep work. I sometimes allow small requests to interrupt tasks that require real concentration. I want to create clearer boundaries, schedule focused time in advance, and check messages only after I complete an important stage. You are halfway through the challenge. 50 real questions. 50 moments when you could have waited for perfect English but chose to respond instead. Let's reinforce the language of practical problem solving. Repeat each opening, then imagine how you would complete it. The first thing I would do is identify the real problem. Before I decide, I would check which task has the greatest impact. A simple way to improve the situation would be the main obstacle seems to be. One possible solution is, if that does not work, I would communicate the problem as early as possible. I can complete the most important part first. I understand the feedback, but I would like a specific example. The goal is not to blame anyone. The goal is to prevent the problem from happening again. Now build one complete response. The main obstacle seems to be a lack of clear priorities. One possible solution is to decide which result matters most this week. If that does not work, I would speak with the team and ask which deadline has the greatest impact. Notice the movement: problem, solution, alternative. This structure is useful in meetings, interviews, presentations, and everyday decisions. It also prevents you from trying to invent an entire answer at once. You only need to identify the next part. Take a breath and notice your progress. Are you beginning faster? Are your ideas arriving in English before a complete translation appears? Even a small change matters. For the second half, the questions will become less predictable. You will not always have a simple, correct answer. That is where your real speaking ability begins to grow. Round 6. Opinions that require balance. In this round, avoid answers that are completely black or white. State your position, recognize another perspective, and explain where you draw the line. Question 51. Does technology make our lives simpler or more complicated? Choose your main position, but acknowledge the other side. 3, 2, 1. Overall, I think technology makes life simpler because it saves time, improves access to information, and helps people communicate across distance. However, it also creates new problems, such as constant distraction and pressure to be available. The result depends on whether we control the technology or allow it to control our attention. Question 52. Should people always follow their passion when choosing a career? Give a balanced answer. 3, 2, 1. Passion is valuable, but I do not think it should be the only factor in a career decision. People also need to consider their strengths, financial responsibilities, opportunities, and preferred lifestyle. Sometimes passion grows after someone becomes skilled at meaningful work, so we should not assume that everyone begins with one perfect calling. Question 53. Is social media bringing people closer together or pushing them apart? Build your answer in 3 steps. 3, 2, 1. Social media can do both. It brings people closer when it helps them maintain real relationships, discover supportive communities, or share important experiences. It pushes people apart when comparison, outrage, and performance replace honest connection. For me, the key question is whether online interaction leads to deeper communication or simply consumes attention. Question 54. Should schools teach more practical life skills? State what should be taught and why. 3, 2, 1. Yes, I think schools should teach more practical skills alongside academic subjects. Students would benefit from learning how to manage money, evaluate information, communicate professionally, and care for their mental and physical health. These lessons would not replace mathematics, science, or literature. They would help students apply knowledge to adult life. Question 55. Is it better to specialize deeply in one field or develop skills in many areas? Explain which approach works best for you. 3, 2, 1. I believe people need a combination of both. Deep expertise makes someone valuable in a specific field, while a wider range of skills helps them adapt and connect ideas. A strong approach is to build one area of real depth and then develop supporting skills, such as communication, technology, or leadership. Question 56. Do people have a responsibility to stay informed about world events? Give your position without suggesting that everyone must follow every story. 3, 2, 1. I think people have a responsibility to understand major events that affect their communities and decisions. However, staying informed does not mean consuming news all day. A thoughtful person can choose a few reliable sources, check them regularly, and protect their mental health by avoiding endless cycles of alarming updates. Question 57. Should companies allow employees to work from anywhere? Consider both freedom and responsibility. 3, 2, 1. Companies should allow flexible work when the role and the person's performance make it practical. Remote work can increase focus, reduce commuting time, and give employees more control over their lives. At the same time, some work benefits from direct collaboration. The best policy may be based on results and team needs rather than one rule for everyone. Question 58. Is failure necessary for success? Avoid the easy answer. Explain what kind of failure is useful. 3, 2, 1. Failure is not automatically useful, but learning from failure often is. Repeating the same mistake without reflection does not create progress. A setback becomes valuable when we examine what happened, change our approach, and try again with better information. Success does not require constant failure, but it usually requires the courage to risk being wrong. Question 59. Should people separate their work life from their personal life completely? Where would you draw the boundary? 3, 2, 1. A healthy boundary is important, but complete separation is not always realistic. Work affects our energy, identity, and schedule, while personal experiences influence how we show up professionally. I think the goal is not to create a wall. It is to prevent work from controlling every hour and to protect time when we can be fully present with ourselves and others. Question 60. Is honesty always the best policy? Respond carefully. Think about truth, kindness, and timing. 3, 2, 1. Honesty is essential for trust, but honesty without judgment can become cruelty. We should tell the truth when it matters, especially when someone's decision or well-being depends on accurate information. At the same time, we can choose respectful language, a suitable moment, and the right level of detail. Being truthful does not require being insensitive. 60 questions complete. Let's practice the language of balance. Repeat these patterns slowly and clearly. Overall, I believe the benefits are greater than the disadvantages. However, the result depends on how the system is used. I agree with the general idea, but I would not apply it in every situation. On the one hand, this creates more freedom. On the other hand, it also creates more responsibility. The issue is not whether it is completely good or bad. The key question is whether it leads to a better result. That may be true in some cases, although there are important exceptions. I can understand why people support that view. My concern is that the long-term effect may be different. Now combine 3 ideas. Overall, I support flexible work because it gives people more control over their time. However, the result depends on the role and the needs of the team. The key question is whether people can collaborate effectively and produce strong results. Try the same structure with another topic. Overall, state your position. However, name the limitation. The key question is, identify the condition that matters. Balanced language does not make your opinion weak. It makes your reasoning more precise. This round asked you to hold 2 ideas at the same time. That is an advanced speaking skill. Fluent speakers often use language such as overall, however, at the same time, and the key question is. These expressions create room for nuance and give you time to develop your thought. Now we will add social pressure. Round 7. Stay calm when the conversation becomes difficult. In this round, respond without becoming passive or aggressive. Be clear, respectful, and firm. Question 61. Someone interrupts you repeatedly during a meeting. What would you say? Protect your turn without attacking the person. 3, 2, 1. I would like to finish this point, and then I am happy to hear your response. I only need another minute to explain why this issue could affect the final result. That response is firm because it names what you need and shows when the other person can speak. Question 62. A friend keeps making jokes about something that makes you uncomfortable. How would you set a boundary? Speak directly. 3, 2, 1. I know you may be joking, but that topic makes me uncomfortable. I would appreciate it if you did not make comments about it anymore. You do not need a long argument to justify a reasonable boundary. Question 63. Your manager rejects an idea before you have explained it fully. What would you say? Ask for a fair opportunity without sounding defensive. 3, 2, 1. I understand your concern. Could I take 2 minutes to explain the part that addresses that risk? If it still does not seem practical after that, I am open to another approach. Question 64. Someone strongly disagrees with your opinion. How would you keep the conversation productive? Show that understanding is not the same as agreement. 3, 2, 1. I can see that we are approaching this from very different perspectives. Before I respond, I want to make sure I understand your main concern. Are you saying that the cost is more important than the long-term benefit? That question slows the conflict and makes the disagreement more specific. Question 65. A customer is angry about a problem you did not personally cause. How would you respond? Do not take blame for everything, but do take responsibility for helping. 3, 2, 1. I understand why this situation is frustrating, and I am sorry you have had to spend time dealing with it. Let me check what happened and explain the options available so we can find the quickest solution. Question 66. You are asked a question in an interview, but you do not know the answer. What would you say? Show honesty and useful thinking. 3, 2, 1. I have not dealt with that exact situation before, so I do not want to pretend I have a complete answer. My first step would be to gather the relevant information, speak with someone who has experience in that area, and then test a solution on a small scale before making a larger decision. Question 67. A colleague presents one of your ideas as if it were their own. How would you address it? Keep the focus on clarity and contribution. 3, 2, 1. I am glad the team sees value in the idea. I would like to add some context because it came from the proposal I shared earlier this week. I can walk everyone through the research behind it and the next steps I had in mind. Question 68. Someone asks you a personal question that you do not want to answer. What would you say? Stay warm, but do not surrender your privacy. 3, 2, 1. I would rather keep that part of my life private, but I appreciate your interest. I would be happy to talk about what I have been working on lately instead. Question 69. You realize that you have misunderstood someone and reacted too quickly. How would you repair the conversation? Take responsibility without adding excuses. 3, 2, 1. I am sorry. I reacted before I fully understood what you meant. I can see now that I made an assumption, and that was unfair. Could we start again? I want to listen more carefully this time. Question 70. Two people on your team are blaming each other for a mistake. How would you redirect the discussion? Move from blame to action. 3, 2, 1. We do need to understand what happened, but blaming each other will not solve the immediate problem. Let's separate the facts from our assumptions, decide what needs to be fixed today, and review the process later so the same mistake is less likely to happen again. 70 questions complete. Now repeat the calm sentence starters from this round. Do not rush them. A calm pace makes the boundary sound stronger. I would like to finish this point. Then I am happy to hear your response. That topic makes me uncomfortable. I would appreciate it if you did not make comments about it. I understand your concern. Could I take 2 minutes to explain? Let me make sure I understand your main point. Here is what I can do. I do not want to pretend I have a complete answer. My first step would be to gather the relevant information. I would rather keep that part of my life private. I reacted before I fully understood. Could we start again? Let's separate the facts from our assumptions. We need to solve the immediate problem first. Choose one sentence that feels difficult for you to say. Repeat it again. Now add one sentence after it. I would like to finish this point because the final detail changes my recommendation. I understand your concern, and I think we can reduce that risk. I would rather keep that private, but I am happy to discuss something else. Clear language reduces pressure because you no longer need to create a perfect response in the middle of conflict. You already have a respectful path into the conversation. If these questions felt more difficult, that is normal. Pressure makes people return to familiar habits, including translating. The solution is not to force yourself to sound brilliant. Use a stable first sentence. I would like to finish this point. Let me make sure I understand. I need a moment to think about that. Here is what I can do. These short sentence starters create space. They give your mind a direction and protect you from silence. The next round is designed to test your flexibility. The topic will change without warning, just as it does in real conversation. Round 8. Unexpected topic changes. Do not prepare. Hear the question, choose an angle, and build from there. Question 71. What is an ordinary object you could not easily live without? Choose something specific and defend your choice. 3, 2, 1. I would find it difficult to live without a good pair of headphones. I use them for work, learning, exercise, and quiet time. They are a simple object, but they help me create a private space even when the environment around me is busy. Question 72. If your personality were a type of weather, what would it be? There is no standard answer. Make the comparison meaningful. 3, 2, 1. My personality would probably be a warm day with changing clouds. I am generally calm and optimistic, but I also spend a lot of time thinking. The clouds represent the moments when I become quiet and need space before the sky feels clear again. Question 73. What is something many people enjoy that you do not completely understand? Answer without insulting people who enjoy it. 3, 2, 1. I have never completely understood the appeal of extremely crowded events. I understand that people enjoy the energy and shared excitement, but I find it difficult to relax when there is too much noise and movement. I usually prefer smaller gatherings where conversation is easier. Question 74. If you had to teach a 10-minute lesson on any topic right now, what would you teach? Say what you would teach and how you would begin. 3, 2, 1. I would teach a short lesson on how to make a difficult task easier to start. I would begin by asking everyone to choose one task they have been avoiding. Then I would show them how to reduce it to an action that takes less than 5 minutes. Question 75. What is a rule that you follow even when nobody is watching? Explain what that rule says about you. 3, 2, 1. I try to return shared spaces in the condition I found them, or better. That includes cleaning up after myself and respecting other people's time. It is a small rule, but it reflects the kind of consideration I hope to receive from others. Question 76. If you could remove one minor inconvenience from daily life forever, what would you choose? Keep it light and specific. 3, 2, 1. I would remove the need to remember so many passwords. It is a small inconvenience, but it appears constantly. A secure system that recognized me perfectly without codes, resets, or verification messages would save a surprising amount of time. Question 77. What smell immediately brings back a memory for you? Connect the smell to a place or moment. 3, 2, 1. The smell of rain on warm ground brings back memories of summer afternoons when I was younger. It reminds me of open windows, sudden storms, and the feeling that an ordinary day had become fresh and new. Question 78. If you could ask your future self one question, what would it be? Choose a question that truly matters to you. 3, 2, 1. I would ask, which decision made the greatest positive difference in your life? I would want to know whether that decision involved courage, patience, a relationship, or a risk that felt frightening at the time. Question 79. What is one belief you hold that has become stronger as you have grown older? Explain what experience strengthened it. 3, 2, 1. I have become more convinced that the people around us shape our lives in quiet but powerful ways. Over time, I have noticed how supportive relationships can increase courage, while constant negativity can make even simple goals feel heavy. Choosing people carefully is not selfish. It is part of choosing a direction. Question 80. If you suddenly had one completely free day with no responsibilities, how would you spend it? Describe the day from morning to evening. 3, 2, 1. I would begin slowly, without an alarm or a list of tasks. I would have a long breakfast, spend time outdoors, and visit a place I had never explored. In the evening, I would share a relaxed meal with someone I care about and leave my phone somewhere out of reach. 80 questions complete. Flexibility becomes easier when you have neutral phrases that work with almost any topic. Repeat these thinking phrases. The first thing that comes to mind is, I have never thought about that before, but if I had to choose, I would say, what interests me most about that question is, my answer might change, but right now I think, a good example would be, the reason I chose that is, what makes it memorable is, The deeper issue may be, I would look at it from a different angle. Now hear how one phrase can create an answer. I have never thought about that before, but if my personality were a type of weather, I would choose a warm day with changing clouds. The reason I chose that is that I am generally calm, although I sometimes need quiet time to think. Try another. The first thing that comes to mind is my phone charger. It is an ordinary object, but I notice how much I depend on it whenever I forget to bring it. These openings are not empty filler. They show the listener that you are thinking while keeping the conversation alive. Use them when a topic surprises you, then move quickly to a real idea. You just moved through 10 unrelated topics without warning. That is exactly what happens in natural conversation. A person may ask about work, then childhood, then food, then the future. You do not need a prepared speech for every topic. You need the confidence to choose one angle and begin. Now we move to the most advanced round, round 9, ideas with depth. For these questions, use the full answer, reason, example, method. State your main idea, explain the reasoning behind it, and make it concrete. Question 81. What does it mean to live a successful life? Define success in your own way. 3, 2, 1. To me, a successful life is one in which my daily choices reflect the values I claim to have. Achievement matters, but it loses meaning if it destroys my health, relationships, or sense of integrity. For example, reaching an ambitious career goal would not feel like success if I had no time or energy left for the people I love. Question 82. Can a person be confident and still doubt themselves? Explain the relationship between confidence and doubt. 3, 2, 1. Yes, confidence and doubt can exist at the same time. Confidence does not mean believing that you will never fail. It means trusting that you can respond, learn, and recover even when the result is uncertain. A confident speaker may still feel nervous before a presentation, but they speak because the nervousness does not control the decision. Question 83. When does patience become an excuse for avoiding action? Draw a useful distinction. 3, 2, 1. Patience becomes avoidance when waiting no longer serves a clear purpose. Sometimes we need time to gather information or allow a situation to develop. However, if we keep waiting because we fear discomfort, rejection, or responsibility, patience may simply be a more comfortable name for fear. A useful test is to ask what new information we realistically expect to receive by waiting. Question 84. Is it possible to be truly objective? Give a thoughtful but practical answer. 3, 2, 1. Complete objectivity may be impossible because every person sees the world through experience, culture, emotion, and limited information. However, that does not mean we should stop trying to be fair. We can examine evidence, question our first reaction, invite opposing views, and admit uncertainty. Objectivity may be less like a final state and more like a discipline. Question 85. What is the difference between being busy and being productive? Use an example that makes the difference clear. 3, 2, 1. Being busy means using time and energy, while being productive means creating progress towards something important. A person can answer messages all day and feel exhausted without completing meaningful work. For example, writing one difficult page of a proposal may create more value than spending 3 hours reorganizing files and responding to low-priority notifications. Question 86. Do difficult experiences always make people stronger? Avoid romanticizing hardship. 3, 2, 1. No, difficult experiences do not automatically make people stronger. Hardship can also leave people tired, fearful, or less trusting. Growth depends on support, reflection, resources, and what happens after the experience. A challenge may build strength when a person has enough safety to process it and turn the lesson into a new way of acting. Question 87. What makes an apology feel sincere? Identify the elements that matter most. 3, 2, 1. A sincere apology names the specific harm, accepts responsibility, and does not pressure the other person to forgive immediately. It also includes changed behavior. Saying, "I am sorry you felt hurt," avoids responsibility, while saying, "I interrupted you and dismissed your concern, that was disrespectful," shows real understanding. The strongest apology becomes visible through what the person does next. Question 88. Is changing your mind a sign of weakness or strength? Explain when changing your mind deserves respect. 3, 2, 1. Changing your mind can be a sign of strength when it happens because of better evidence or deeper understanding. It requires humility to admit that an earlier belief was incomplete. However, changing opinions only to gain approval may show a lack of conviction. The important question is whether the change comes from thoughtful learning or social pressure. Question 89. What do people misunderstand about confidence? Correct one common belief. 3, 2, 1. People often misunderstand confidence as being loud, certain, or comfortable in every situation. Real confidence can be quiet. It may look like asking a question, admitting a mistake, or speaking slowly instead of rushing to prove something. Confidence is not the absence of insecurity. It is the ability to act according to your values without requiring constant approval. Question 90. What kind of progress is difficult to see while it is happening? Make your answer concrete. 3, 2, 1. Internal progress is often difficult to see while it is happening. Becoming more patient, thinking more clearly, or building a new language can feel invisible from one day to the next. For example, you may believe your English is not improving until you suddenly understand a conversation that once felt impossible. Small changes become visible only when enough of them have accumulated. 90 questions complete. Before the final challenge, collect the language that helps you express deeper ideas. To me, the most important part is, I would define it as, the difference is that does not necessarily mean. A useful distinction is, the common assumption is that, however, that view ignores. A practical example would be, the strongest evidence is often visible in, the real test is what happens next. Now build a thoughtful response in layers. To me, confidence means trusting your ability to respond. That does not necessarily mean feeling comfortable all the time. A useful distinction is the difference between fear and control. A confident person may feel fear, but fear does not make the final decision. Build another. The common assumption is that difficult experiences always make people stronger. However, that view ignores the importance of support and recovery. A practical example would be two people facing the same setback but having very different resources afterward. Advanced English is not created by using the longest possible words. It is created by showing the relationship between ideas. Define, distinguish, challenge an assumption, give an example, then return to your main point. You are now approaching the final challenge. The last 10 questions will move quickly. There will be less explanation before you answer. Use everything you have practiced. Begin directly, add a reason, and include an example when it helps. Most importantly, do not judge an answer while you are still creating it. Finish the thought first. Round 10. The Final Response Challenge. Question 91. What is one decision your future self would thank you for making today? Answer now. 3, 2, 1. My future self would thank me for protecting my health before a problem forces me to pay attention. A small decision, such as sleeping consistently or exercising several times a week, could improve the quality of everything else I do. Question 92. How would you describe yourself without mentioning your job, nationality, age, or appearance? Choose values, habits, or qualities. 3, 2, 1. I am a curious person who values calm, meaningful work, and honest relationships. I tend to observe carefully before I speak, but once I care about a goal, I can be very persistent. Question 93. What would you attempt if you knew you could not embarrass yourself? Do not choose the safest answer. 3, 2, 1. I would speak more often in front of large groups. The possibility of making a visible mistake sometimes creates unnecessary hesitation, but without that fear, I would enjoy sharing ideas and learning from the audience. Question 94. What is one problem in your community that deserves more attention? Name the problem and one practical first step. 3, 2, 1. Social isolation deserves more attention, especially among older adults and people who live alone. A practical first step would be to create regular local activities where people can meet without needing to spend much money or already know someone. Question 95. If someone disagrees with you about something important, what do you want them to understand about your position? State the principle beneath your opinion. 3, 2, 1. I want them to understand that my position comes from concern about long-term consequences, not from a desire to control other people. They may still disagree with my conclusion, but I hope we can discuss the values and evidence behind it. Question 96. What is something you need to say no to more often? Be specific about what the yes is costing you. 3, 2, 1. I need to say no more often to requests that seem small but repeatedly interrupt important work. Each request may take only a few minutes, but together they divide my attention and make it difficult to complete anything meaningful. Question 97. What question do you wish people asked you more often? Tell us why that question matters. 3, 2, 1. I wish people asked, "What are you excited about learning right now?" That question creates a different kind of conversation. It allows people to talk about curiosity, growth, and possibilities instead of repeating the usual facts about work and daily responsibilities. Question 98. What is one truth you learned later than you wish you had? Say how that truth would have changed your choices. 3, 2, 1. I learned that clarity often comes after action, not before it. I spent too much time waiting to feel completely ready. If I had understood this earlier, I would have started more projects while they were still imperfect and learned through the process. Question 99. What would you like to be remembered for? Avoid listing achievements. Focus on the effect you want to have on people. 3, 2, 1. I would like to be remembered as someone who made difficult things feel possible. Whether through teaching, encouragement, or practical help, I hope people feel more capable and less alone after spending time with me. Question 100. After answering 100 questions, what have you learned about your English? This answer belongs completely to you. Begin. 3, 2, 1. You might say, I learned that I can express more than I thought. I still need time for some questions, but I do not need to translate every sentence. When I choose one idea and keep moving, my English becomes clearer. 100 questions complete. Before we finish, give yourself one final speaking test. You will hear 10 short openings. Complete each one with your own idea. Do not return to the model answers. This time, create something new. Today, I realized that. Complete the sentence. One habit I want to change is. Complete the sentence and add a reason. A difficult experience taught me. Complete the sentence and add one detail. When I disagree with someone, I try to. Complete the sentence with a calm action. The first thing I would do is imagine a problem and complete the thought. Overall, I believe. State an opinion and add one limitation. I used to think, but now I believe. Show how your mind changed. If I had to choose, I would make a quick decision and defend it. The deeper issue is name something beneath the surface. My future self would thank me for. Finish with one decision you can make today. If you completed those 10 openings, you did something more valuable than repeating a polished paragraph. You created language from your own life. Think about what you have just done. You answered questions about your routine, preferences, memories, work, relationships, values, and beliefs. You handled practical problems, disagreement, pressure, and sudden topic changes. Some answers may have felt easy. Others may have exposed a gap in your vocabulary or made your mind go blank. Both experiences are useful. An easy answer shows you what has become automatic. A difficult answer shows you exactly what to practice next. Do not measure this lesson by asking, "Did I make any mistakes?" You certainly did, and that is not a problem. Measure it with better questions. Did I begin more quickly? Did I stay in English for longer? Did I recover when I lost a word? Did I express a real thought instead of repeating a memorized sentence? Those are signs of progress. Here is how to use this lesson again. The second time, try to begin every answer within 3 seconds. The third time, do not use the model answer. Give a different reason, example, or opinion. The fourth time, choose 10 difficult questions and answer each one for 30 seconds. You can also use the answer, reason, example method in real conversations. If someone asks, "What did you think of the event?" Begin with the answer, "I enjoyed it." Then add the reason. The speakers gave practical advice. Then add the example. For example, one speaker showed us how to turn a large goal into a weekly system. You do not need to prepare a speech. You need a direction. Answer. Reason. Example. The more often you follow that path, the less often your mind will become trapped between a thought and a translation. Now choose one question from today's challenge and write your answer in the comments. Do not choose the easiest one. Choose a question that made you stop and think. Begin your comment with this sentence. I answered without translating, and here is what I really think. Then write your answer. If this lesson helped you respond more directly in English, subscribe to English ListenBerry. Here, we do not only collect English words, we train those words to arrive when real life asks us a question. In the next challenge, We will practice how to keep speaking when you run out of words, lose your idea, or face a topic you did not expect. Until then, keep listening, keep answering, and trust your first clear sentence. Your English does not need to be perfect before it can be powerful. It needs to move.